Good evening and welcome back to the Learn to Love You show. My name is Renita Hills and I am your host for the evening. I am also the founder and CEO of Voice of the Victim. We're an organization that works with victims and survivors of domestic abuse, abusive behaviors, and sexual assault. Our goal and our endeavor is to help people to transition from being a victim to survivor and ultimately a thriver in spite of the abuse they endure. Now, I know you've heard me say that so many times before, but the reason why I keep repeating myself, because there are stages and there are steps. There is a process. When the event actually happens to a person, they immediately become a statistic. Once they start getting work, now when it happens, it doesn't mean when he's caught. The moment the first abuse happens, you immediately become a statistic. When he's caught or when it's escalated to the point where you have to get some type of help, whether it be physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, financially, whatever the case might be, that's when you become a victim to a survivor and ultimately a thriver. A thriver is somebody who looks at what has happened and in your own right and your own way takes it and uses it as a catapult to move into your destiny and into your future. There are so many people that handle things differently when it comes to domestic violence, abusive behavior, and sexual assault. You can't just throw a blanket over it and say, hey, this is the one stop shop. This is the one thing that's going to fix it all, because it does not work that way. It is so much bigger and so much deeper than just that. Why am I talking so explicitly about that? So many of us concentrate so much on the victim of abuse or the perpetrator of the abuse. Not many people think about the secondary survivors. What is a secondary survivor? Many people don't even realize that that is such a thing. The secondary survivor is the person who hits the ripple of what happened. Picture it. You're at this lake and it's calm. It's very calm. It smells great. The air is clean. The sky is blue. You can just hear the crickets and the birds, and you can hear the wind blowing and shuffling through the trees. And it's so fresh out there. You pick up a stone, a small little pebble, and you throw it into the water. That spot that it hit, and then it ripples out. The victim of abuse is that spot where the rock hit the water. Those ripples are the people, the many people that are affected by the rock hitting the water. I always use myself for an example. For me, the abuse happened to me. I was the one that ended up in the hospital with 13 stab wounds. It was me. It didn't happen directly to anyone. But secondary survivors in my case were my children. They were in the house when it happened. Then my brothers and my sister, my mother. Can you imagine a mom going to the hospital because somebody tried to steal her child's life? Secondary survivor. And then I thought about my neighborhood. My neighbors were devastated because all they kept telling the police is they don't bother anybody. Renita's a great neighbor. You knock on her door, she'll help you. She never bothers anybody. Her children are so polite. We would never have thought. So it affected them because when I got back home, all they wanted to do was gather around and help protect me so it wouldn't happen again. And then you think about the people I worked with. They had to deal with the fact that I'm not there. I had to go on disability for a year. I was never able to go back to that job that I worked for years to get and only was able to work on it for a month. Those people missed an employee and they couldn't hire a new one because I didn't resign. So they were left without a person in that spot. They were secondary survivors. Now let's go a little bit further out. Let's think about with me being on disability, I had to get food stamps. I had to get welfare. I had to get government housing. I had to go to the victim witness program. All those people that never knew me. They never saw my face and probably will never know who I am. Those tax dollars, they are secondary survivors, or third or fourth, but someday down the line, the community was part of a secondary survivor scenario. And all because it happened to me. Now let's think about those people who are caregivers. If my family had known what was going on, it wouldn't have been a pretty sight. But there are many families that know. There are many fathers that know that their daughters are going back home to their son-in-law who's abusing their daughter. There are many fathers that know that their daughters are going home to another female who is abusing them. There are many parents who know that their child is being hurt and or abused by their partner, but they can't do anything about it. Remember, the average person goes back to their abuser 7 times. 7 times. So if that dad jumps in and pulls that child out and they're not ready to go out, they'll end up going back to that abuser again. And this time it could be an angrier abuser. Secondary survivors pour everything into that person to help them to see how to leave or that they should leave. They're pouring everything. They're stay up awake at night. They're up praying. They're up finding resources. They're up talking. They're trying to convince. They're trying to help. Take time, secondary survivors. Take time to take care of you. Take time to heal you. Because the time is going to come where that person is going to need you to be there for them and need you to be strong for them. They're going to need you to be that person who will say, okay, come on, you're ready? Let's go. I remember a family member who took in one of their family members and they said, you can stay here as long as you want to, but don't knock on my door until you're ready to get help. Can you imagine how difficult that is to tell somebody that you love, that you want so much to be free? To say you can stay. They didn't stay in there. It was one of those duplex houses. And he said, you can stay here as long as you want to. But don't knock on my door until you're ready for help. They hit rock bottom and finally said, knocked on the door and said, I need help. Now, this was a different scenario because this was dealing with drugs and alcohol. But the same principle applies. Give them the opportunity to come to you. Let them know you're there for them. But that does not mean you have to drag them out. Follow their lead. Oh, thank you. I just thought about what I do for my regular job. I sit and I talk to people and I kind of help them and guide them. One of the first things I tell them is this. This is your journey. This is your bus. You are the driver of the bus. I'm just a person sitting next to you with the navigational system and the maps. I have the GPS. Tell me where you want to go. I'll tell you how to get there. The same thing applies when you're working with survivors of domestic abuse, abusive behavior, and sexual assault. It is their journey. They are the driver of the bus. They are the best person to help or to tell you how to help them to get out. Now, I am not saying to stand there if you see them physically getting beat up, to stand there. No, I'm not saying that. What I am saying is follow their lead. And when they say back off, take that moment to rejuvenate, to revitalize, to take care of yourself. And there are going to be times when you might have to tell them, I can't do this today, because you need to take care of yourself. Secondary survivors, take care. Find a support group. There are so many support groups out there. If you're in the city of Indianapolis or if you're the state of Indiana, each and every state in the United States has support groups for secondary survivors. You need the help too. And I can hear it, but it ain't happening to me. You're part of the ripple. You're part of the ripple after the stone hits that water, and you need support as well. Before I leave, I do want to remind you of this one other thing about that stone hitting the water. No matter what you do, no matter what happens, don't think that things will go back to the way they were. They never will. The water will get calm, the ripples will subside. You'll start to smell the fresh air and feel the cool breeze and feel the warm sun, and you'll start hearing the birds chirping again. But that stone is still at the bottom of that pond, and it will forever be changed. Victims, survivors, thrivers, secondary survivors don't expect life to go back to the way it was. It's a new journey. My daughter teased me yesterday because I told her I'm going to celebrate my second birthday next year on a cruise. Yeah, I have two birthdays. My biological birthday is in May, and my birth of when being stabbed is my second birth. When I left that hospital, take it back. When I woke up in that hospital, that person was a totally different person than I was the day before. I had to regroup. I had to regain my strength. I had to reevaluate everything about myself and build a whole new Renita. And I kind of like the one she turned out to be. She's kind of cool. She says she's learned how to say no. And she's learned how to look at people and say, okay, you go ahead and do that. And let it rest right where it is. I'm still learning to let people go who want to walk away. Painful as that is, I'm learning to let them go. They're not adding to my life. I'm certainly not going to allow them to take it away. And I'm giving you permission to do the exact same thing. If you need assistance, if you find yourself in a scenario where you're feeling yourself being abused, sexually assaulted, and abuse again is not just physical, it's mental, emotional, psychological. Anytime somebody's stripping away who you were created to be, you have the right and the responsibility to walk away. The hotline is 1-800-799-7233. Again, 1-800-799-SAFE. Give them a call and they'll be more than happy to connect you to somebody who can help you. If that's a little bit challenging to remember, 211. 211 in any state in the United States will help connect you to somebody who can help you to be a better you. You deserve it. You deserve a break today. Oh, wait a minute. That's Toyota. My bad. Okay. Laughter is a good medicine, guys. Laugh. Enjoy life. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for letting me laugh and letting me be myself. I truly, truly hope you're getting something out of this. If you need some more assistance or more information, please comment, like, subscribe, share. Let me know what you are interested in learning or hearing about. This is about you, not about me. I'm just the vehicle that's sharing. Remember, again, as always, you are fearfully and wonderfully made by the hands of God. I heard this once before and I love it. His fingerprints are all over you. Think about that. He built and created you with his own hands to be just who you are. Learn to love you. Beneath your skin and behind your eyes is an absolutely beautiful you. Learn to love you. Until next time, see you later.